Ajahn Chah gave one of the simplest instructions in all of contemplative practice. Go into your room, sit in the center, open the doors and windows, and see who comes to visit. That's it. No preparation required. No particular posture, just a room, a seat, and whatever arrives. He said you would witness all kinds of scenes and actors, all kinds of temptations and stories, everything imaginable, and your only work, the only thing being asked of you, is to remain in your seat. There's something about that image that feels immediately restful because you're not responsible for who shows up. You're not being asked to clean the room before the visitors arrive, or to arrange them in any particular order, or to make sure the right ones stay longer than the wrong ones. You just sit there in the center and watch. And right now, while you're listening to this, there are visitors moving through. A sound from somewhere nearby. A thought that passed a moment ago and is already gone. A faint, barely perceptible sense of evaluating whether this is going somewhere useful. They come and go without asking permission. You probably didn't choose any of them. But here's what happens. Almost every time, almost immediately, something in the room gets up. A thought arrives, heavier than the rest, or just more familiar. And before the movement even registers as movement, you're at the door, examining it, deciding what to do with it, and then something catches itself, steps back, returns to the center, adjusts, tries again. That return, that correction, it feels like exactly what was asked. It feels like watching. But Ajahn Chah said your only work is to remain in your seat. He didn't say return to your seat. He said remain, which means something, somewhere, has been getting up. He was precise about effort in a way that most teachers aren't. Proper effort is not the effort to make something specific happen. It is the effort to be aware and awake at each moment. The effort to make every activity of the day a meditation. When you first hear that, something relaxes because the pressure of achieving a particular state lifts entirely. You're not trying to reach stillness. You're not trying to manufacture a feeling of peace. You're just trying to stay present with what's already here, whatever that happens to be. And somewhere in the act of receiving that instruction, something begins checking whether awareness is present at this moment, monitoring the quality of attention, verifying from breath to breath whether something is being done correctly, whether the effort is the right kind of effort, whether this counts. And that monitoring, that continuous internal assessment, it doesn't feel like effort in the heavy, laborious sense. It feels like care, like diligence. It feels like exactly the kind of attentiveness that was being pointed toward. But notice what's actually happening right now. Underneath the listening, there's something tracking, something that caught the thought that drifted through a moment ago and quietly noted it, something that has been here the entire time, watching the visitors move through, yes, but also keeping a kind of score, present, attentive, slightly tense in a way that's so familiar it no longer registers as tension. Ajahn Chah used the image of a venomous snake. He said the activity of the mind is like a deadly snake in the room, and if you don't interfere with it, if you simply don't reach for it, don't react, don't try to redirect it, it moves away on its own. The instruction is simple, but the one who received that instruction has never quite been able to trust it fully. Something watches the snake too closely, tracks its movement, braces slightly in anticipation, and that bracing doesn't feel like interference. It feels like vigilance. It presents itself as the practice itself. Ajahn Chah also said, "When an unpleasant object makes contact, continue firm. Don't lean left, don't lean right." This steadiness, this quality of not being pulled, is exactly where wisdom is born. But there is a difference between steadiness and the effortful performance of steadiness. One is what happens when nothing is being managed. The other is what happens when something is watching itself very carefully to make sure it isn't managing anything. This is the first shift. What looked like stillness from the outside has a pulse. Something is working in there, and it has been working the entire time. Ajahn Chah described the mind at peace as a still forest pool. All kinds of animals come to drink from it. Strange and beautiful things appear at the water's edge, linger, and leave, and the pool remains clear. The animals come and go. The surface is never guarded, and nothing in the water moves to receive them. The clarity wasn't produced. It was simply what was there when nothing interfered. Try to find that pool in your own experience right now. There's a search, a quiet internal glance around, looking for some quality of stillness, some place where the water isn't moving. And that glance, that very act of checking, is itself a ripple on the surface. So you return to the room. Someone is sitting in the center. The doors are open. Visitors arrive and leave. Thoughts, sensations, the faint sound of something outside, a small wave of impatience, a moment of interest, a moment of boredom, and the instruction holds. Stay seated. Your only work is to remain. But there is an assumption built into that image that almost never gets examined. The assumption that there is someone stable enough to stay. That somewhere inside this experience, there is a permanent resident, someone who was here before the first visitor arrived, who will still be here after the last one leaves, the one who first heard Ajahn Chah's instruction, the one who decided to try, the one who is right now, in this moment, quietly determining whether any of this is landing, whether something is being understood, whether the listening is happening in the right way. That one feels obvious, more obvious than anything else in experience, more solid than any thought that passes through. It feels like the most basic fact, the one thing you couldn't reasonably doubt. But look carefully at the visitors moving through the room, the reactions that rise and fall, the fleeting certainties that feel absolute for a moment and then dissolve, the slight contraction when something uncomfortable arrives, the small release when it passes, the voice that narrates the whole thing, that says, "This is interesting," or "I already know this," or "I don't think this is working." Now look at the one watching all of that, and notice that it too shifts. It is more spacious on some mornings than others, more defended after certain conversations. It has texture. It responds to conditions. It changes. It arrives. Ajahn Chah said to watch everything arise and pass away. Thoughts and feelings, sounds and sensations, and then whatever is left after those. Everything. But something in the room has quietly exempted itself from that list. It watches the passing. It keeps the record. And it has never once seriously considered that it might itself be passing, the one who arranged the furniture, the one who took the central seat and called it home, the one who received the instruction, nodded, decided to practice. That one came through the door too. And somewhere along the way, in the middle of all that watching, it forgot that it was visiting. This is not a comfortable recognition. Or maybe it is. Maybe the discomfort is just another visitor. Arriving now, looking around for somewhere to sit. The mind will try to do something with this, It will try to understand it correctly, or apply it carefully, or at least hold it in a way that feels like progress. And that trying, that immediate reaching toward usefulness, is the room's oldest habit. Ajahn Chah said, "Just watch. See everything arise and pass, and out of that watching, wisdom comes." But he also said something quieter. Underneath that instruction, he said the mind that stops clinging to the senses is like a dry leaf that falls from the tree. It no longer sticks to anything. It is carried by the wind wherever the wind blows, without resistance, at peace. A dry leaf doesn't decide to stop clinging. It just releases when it's ready, or when the branch does. Ajahn Chah said, "The fruit of practice is nothing more than peace, a peace that has nothing to do with which visitors arrived today or how long they stayed. That remains whether you are praised or criticized, whether you gain or lose." He called it our true home. Right now, there is sound. There is the sensation of air, of a body somewhere sitting or lying still. There is the quiet fact of being here, ordinary, a little unclear, already beginning to pass into the next moment without asking. None of it needs to be received. None of it is waiting for management. The one who might have managed it, the one who arrived early and arranged the furniture, who took the central seat and kept the record, maybe that one is resting right now, quieter than usual. Or maybe it's moving through this last paragraph very carefully, waiting to see how it ends, storing it somewhere for later. Either way, the room is still open. The windows haven't closed. Visitors keep arriving. The seat is there, and whether or not anyone is claiming it, the room remains, exactly as it has always been, without waiting for a resident, without missing one. If the room felt familiar, there are other doors open here. Another video is waiting whenever the seat is free.